Welcome to the Breakthrough Success Podcast, helping you achieve that breakthrough you've always been looking for in your business. And now your host, Marc.
Hello and welcome. I'm your host, Marc, and this is the podcast for marketers and small business owners who are looking for the breakthrough for their businesses. I'm very excited about this show. We are going to discuss how to build a business that helps you achieve freedom from your job with our guest, Rob Cubbon. Rob is a best-selling author and online teacher. He started his business in 2006 and hasn't turned back since. It is my pleasure to welcome Rob to the show.
Hey, Marc.
All right, let's get started. So, I heard about your story about getting out of the job because you started your business. And my first question to you is, what got you started as an entrepreneur?
Well, it wasn't really like that, Marc. It's just, it's something that happened over a number of years to me, rather than something that I did in one split second where I walked into a job. You know, it was much more of a series of events and a mindset shift within my mind, obviously, that caused it all to happen. So, I mean, it's different from me than it is. Maybe it's different for me from other people. I really don't know. But in my case, it's a little bit of a long story. I'll try and keep it short. But I was working for a long time in London, in the UK, doing very menial jobs, doing just typesetting, freelance work, with a sort of design side to it, but not very creative and not very interesting. Just same as everyone else, just making money to get by. But I got into personal development. I started meditating, and I started seeing the world as though, you know, if I could change myself, if I can change myself on the inside, and then hopefully change my situation on the outside. And as you say, in 2006, I started a website and started a business. And I didn't finish work, but I cut my work down for the next 2 years. And then 2008, I stopped working completely and concentrated on my business. And that's a long time ago now. And so since then, a lot has happened. I'm doing completely different business than I did sort of 2 years ago. You know, it changes all the time. But it was all down to a mindset shift of trying to improve myself and trying to improve my feelings and abilities and thoughts on the inside, and then improving my physical situation on the outside. So I hope that answers your question, Marc.
That's a great summary as to what happened. So what I find interesting is that you still kept the job, and this is a pattern I've seen in a lot of people who end up becoming successful with their businesses. They keep their jobs, they build a business on the side, and they have enough revenue to get by. So what were you thinking at the beginning of that path when you have just started the business, but at the same time, you can't fully commit to it just yet, but you want to eventually reach that level?
Yeah, because it wasn't difficult. There was less risk involved, and it was extremely easy for me because I was freelancing anyway. I didn't have a job which was 9 to 5, 5 days a week. I was employed by agencies that would put me in a job, and it might be a week, it might be 2 weeks, it might be 3 days, you know. So it was quite easy to tell the agency, "Oh, I can't work this week," and then I would work sort of every other week. And I mean, when it started, I'm not sure if I ever sort of said to myself, "I've got to leave this job. I've got to do this now." which is the way you hear some people talk these days. I didn't lay anything on the line. I didn't have a date. I always always hoped and kind of believed that it was possible that one day I would leave my work and I would work from home, and that was my that was my aim at the time, and since then, I mean, my aim has changed, because then, I'm not even doing as I alluded to earlier. I'm earning sort of more passive income, but at the time, I just wanted to leave my work, but slowly, I didn't rush it. I could have done it earlier, and I was just being super cautious. I was making sure I had enough money, and it took me 2 years. It could have been 1 year, it could have been 3 years, but it was, for me, it was just great. It was great just starting out, and it was great when I went full time, and it's great now. I've just made sure I've enjoyed every step along the way, because I think that's important, rather than giving yourself a stressful, got to do this, got to leave my work by this time next year or something like that. So it was slowly.
So you saved a lot of money with your job. You were able to put some of it into your business, but you wanted that time factor. You wanted to have time for your business and also time for doing the other things that you did. So are those the key things for going from employee to having your own online brand? Or are there other components that go into building an online brand that allows you to experience personal freedom?
I don't know if that's the same thing, to be honest with you. I mean, the personal brand, I guess they both come into play into the same thing. But for starters, I mean, there's a lot of things that you're asking at the same time in there. I mean, there's the enjoyment factor, yes, and the time factor. Well, I'm not the right person to talk to about that, because I'm terrible with my time. I'm terrible with my productivity. I never know how much I work and how much I don't work. I don't think I do work. I'm sure a lot of people work harder than me, but then again, I do tend to work on my business every day. I never take days off, and I never take time off. So that's one factor. Well, the personal brand is another thing. I mean, that got going right from the start. My website was robcubbon.com, which turned out to be a very sort of lucky choice, because it meant I could pivot the business. I could change from what I started out with, which was graphic design, to now where I'm doing all sorts of stuff, including selling video courses and Amazon FBA and stuff. So the personal brand really worked for me, because I branded it around myself, and I just wrote blog posts and did YouTube videos, which have become more important than I realized that they would be at the time I was doing them. And all I did basically was put out some good content and make it as good as I could make it, and relevant to the niche. And the niche was just what I was doing at the time, which is just my business. Graphic design, web design, video content, whatever it is. So I just continued to do that. And then slowly but surely, I built an email list, which is an extremely important part of the personal brand, the email list, as I'm sure you know. And so that then helped me in the years that came when I started writing books and creating video courses. People maybe knew me, people had joined my email list, so I had an audience I could sell to, and that was all built up. That had built up over the years. And it worked. It worked on a lot of levels, because I mean, I did the content originally, blog posts, etc., in order to get clients, in order to get people who wanted me to do work for them. And I hardly ever do any work for people these days. So the content and the brand, worked for me on so many different levels. And I mean, I didn't mean to do it as well. I mean, it's not as if I'm not trying to say I was clever and what it meant it to happen this way. But it certainly worked out for me that building the brand with free content, building an email list and selling to that email list then at a later date, whilst earning money from clients doing freelance work or web design business work or whatever you call it. That basically is what I'm saying is the formula for my business from the last 10 years. So the personal brand kind of pulls it all together. It's kind of the central aspect of it. I hope that makes sense, Mark.
Yes, that does make sense. You've taken a lot of different directions with your business, and I'm happy to see that you're happy with where you are now. My question for you is, you've taken a lot of different directions. Sometimes you've made a lot of great decisions. Sometimes there have not been as great of moments. That happens to all of us. What was the low point of your journey?
Well, I had such a terrible low point about a month and a half ago, and it was probably it's really recently. This is the one that comes to mind. So I've invested. So I got money in the business through the product sales, the digital product sales, mostly video courses, and I wanted to grow another brand, and I'm doing that with a product line I'm creating on Amazon, which is completely separate to web design, separate to my video courses. It couldn't be more different. And I was sitting in a cafe in Bangkok one morning a month and a half ago, and I'd realized I'd just ordered over 2,000 units of this product, which was far too many. And I have no idea. I should have only ordered 500 to 1,000. So I was leveraged out, cashed out with that. And I just realized I'd made a mistake with the packaging. It had some incorrect information on the packaging, and the stock was all at Amazon. And so I realized in a split second, sitting in this cafe, I had this sinking feeling. I'm going to have to return all of that stock to a facility somewhere, a third-party facility, and get it repackaged and then return it to Amazon. Or Amazon's going to completely kick my ass, because I'm really in trouble if I am misleading customers in the packaging. Amazon wouldn't like that. And I hadn't felt so bad since school. It was like the feeling when you've done something wrong at school, you're about to be found out, and the teachers are just going to give you a really, really hard time and
Called to the principal's office.
Yeah, I hadn't felt like that for I'm incredibly old, so 40 years, I don't know. And it was dreadful. I tell you what, Mark, it wasn't that bad. I mean, I think I've paid the money, I've taken the hit, and at the end of the day, it was my fault. I couldn't blame anyone else, and that was strangely comforting, and it kind of didn't bother me that much after that initial day. I had one bad day about it, and I haven't really thought about it much since. It was just such a bad day. And I was just so grateful that I had the ability to ride out that hit. I can do that. I can take that hit, and I'm sure I can make a success of that particular business. I hope so. It doesn't look like it at the moment, but I'm going to keep at it. And I just think it's a great privilege, the position that I found myself in, to be able to do something so stupid and get away with it.
It's interesting how you mentioned that by taking responsibility and being grateful that you can make these types of mistakes motivated you through that low point. Was there anything else that motivated you, or were those the most important things?
Well, yeah, I mean, I think because there's other things that have happened to me that haven't been my fault, and they are kind of harder to take, because you can have some situation in online business where, say, Google changes their algorithm, or Facebook changed their rules, and that completely kills you overnight. And it's not, well, everything is ultimately your fault as a business owner. However, it's more unseen. Or a competitor can do something really unpleasant to you on Amazon. This has happened to me. Everything has happened to me. Sort of bad things in business. All the classic things that can happen has happened to me. So, for example, I've been killed by Google. I've had,
That's the worst.
Everyone, all those basics, like having accounts banned and stuff like that. I've had everything, and the harder it is to take, it's when it's more underhand. So if a competitor complains about your product to Amazon, saying that the product was bad for them when it wasn't, they're just doing it because they're a competitor. That's really hard to take. But you've got to be able to take those knocks, and I think they teach you a lesson, even if it's the lesson is, don't let it get you down. It's only money, it's only business. There are more important things. As long as you learn those lessons, then I really think they can be good things.
So you've got the type of lifestyle that a lot of people want, in which you're able to have business on your own terms. You're able to work freely. What is the best part about that?
Yeah, well, it's as you might imagine. I mean, the lifestyle isn't, it's not all. I'm not amazingly rich, but I am very free. I do what I want to do when I want. More or less. I have family issues, of course, but and it's not for everyone, because I'm sure people listening to this show are sort of maybe they have a wife and kids, and but that's not the point. You see, even if they haven't got a wife and kids, they want to stay wherever they're living. That's fine, because they could have my freedom and choose to use it by seeing more of their kids during the day, or taking their kids out more and working in the evenings. Whereas I choose to travel a lot, and so I spend a lot of the time in Asia, predominantly Thailand, because I don't want to travel all the time. I want to learn the language here. I want to make friends, so at least I've got a base. And then explore the area of Southeast Asia, as I have been doing, and Europe as well. I intend to go back and travel through Europe a bit more next year, and so I am very grateful. I'm not rich, but I can pretty much wake up and decide to take a flight somewhere and book into a nice B&B place, and then go out in the evening and meet people that I know, because there's so many benefits to this lifestyle. I mean, I can arrive in a capital city, whether it's Hong Kong, Ho Chi Minh, Phnom Penh, which is a small place, and I would probably know someone who's staying there and who would enjoy going out that evening. So I never get lonely, because there's a lot of other people doing this and having this lifestyle. And then the benefit is, because I love to talk about business, is that you go out and you can talk about stupid things like Google SEO that nobody else would find interesting, probably. But I really enjoy talking about business and talking about other people's businesses and asking what they're doing and stuff like that. So the lifestyle at the moment is definitely benefiting me. I really enjoy it.
So for someone who's traveling to all these different places in the world and's been on all spectrums of the whole business side of things, you've learned a lot of things in your journey. So what is the best lesson that you could share with my listeners?
Oh, God, it'll definitely be about happiness, Mark. Everything for me comes down to happiness. You've got to enjoy the moment. It's so. The thing is that I don't do this well myself, but I always try. So, for example, in business, you've got goals, and you want to reach your goals. So you say, by this time at the end of the year, I want to have sold so many X many products of Y product. And if you don't make that goal, or or in a larger scale, if you're not making enough money, I mean, if things are going really badly, you've got to enjoy the moment. You've got to enjoy the day by day aspects of your business. So, for example, I concentrate on being creative. I keep on writing books, even though that doesn't really pay much money. It doesn't do much. It does less for my business than video courses, but I enjoy it as much as making video courses. So I carry on doing it. And so it's an example of wanting and needing to enjoy the business at the present moment, rather than doing it for a future goal, which is maybe making a lot of money. That never works. You've got to enjoy the moment, enjoy this present moment, and enjoy whatever you're doing in your business, whether it's designing or writing or creating or selling products or whatever it is. But you've got to enjoy most of that. You're not going to enjoy everything, but as long as you enjoy 70 to 90% of what you do, then you're successful, definitely. And if I would rather have less money than not enjoy the business.
I'm happy that you hammered down on the point of enjoying the business, because I feel like a lot of entrepreneurs, they go deep into the journey, but then they get hung up on their goals and all the things that they want to do instead of where they are and what they've already done. So I feel like it's tempting for some people to give up that joy by looking at what's ahead and all of the work they have to do.
Yeah, I think some people. I think it goes on every year. I think you can get it right for 5 years, and then you can get it wrong for 5 years. It's just something you've just got to keep an eye on, 24/7.
So the great advice you gave entrepreneurs: enjoy your journey. What other advice do you have for entrepreneurs who are trying to reach their breakthrough?
Yeah, well, I guess other than enjoying the moment, it would be to concentrate on the things that are going right. I know that's a cliche, but a lot of people here, if they are struggling or they're trying to reach their breakthrough, that suggests that things aren't really going right at the moment. And I think with a lot of people, it's because they concentrate on too many things. I mean, I'm in Chiang Mai at the moment, which is a mecca for younger, more unsuccessful entrepreneurs, because it's so cheap here. And a lot of the time I see them make a mistake. That they go and chase shiny objects all the time. They're doing something that, they say to you, oh, I got another 500 likes on my Facebook page, and I'm doing this with Pinterest advertising, and I'm doing this on Instagram, and you're going, well, dude, how much money are you making? You've got to have the ROI on all these things, and they're jumping from one thing to another, and they're not making any money. And they, it may be better for them to just hunker down or just double down on one thing that at least makes them money. Because I think that's really important, because the other thing I was going to say is that they tend to be a bit more obsessed with the passive income side. They really want to make a product that does very well with affiliates, so they make $1,000 in their sleep overnight, and they don't want to get their hands dirty working for a client for one day that's going to earn them $100, $200. But the client work is kind of easy. It'll sustain them for longer. It will give them ideas about other products that they can make for the clients, other services they can offer, and it's money now rather than planning for this unseen passive income that they're not sure about in the future. So there's two things there. I would double down on something that's working for you, or double down on something, and don't run between dozens of different shiny objects. And number two was to maybe concentrate on active income, working for clients at first, and then build a brand, and then earn the passive income later, which is basically what happened for me. I mean, that's why I'm saying it.
Some entrepreneurs' definition of a breakthrough success for them would be your current lifestyle in which you're making passive income, you're able to travel to all these different places. So for these entrepreneurs who still have their jobs, what are 3 tips you have for them so that they can make that transition from having a job to then quitting and becoming an entrepreneur?
Okay, well, this is all doubling down on the personal brand, and maybe they don't want a personal brand, which I can understand completely. We're all different, but I've got to give these examples because this is what I know, Mark, and I can only really talk about what I know. But it's not, it's not something you have to do. But I think a personal brand is really good idea because, I mean, you're doing it, Mark, with the podcast. It works on so many different levels, as I explained earlier. People will give you work because they know who you are. You've got a personal brand. They know who Mark is. They know what you do. They'll give you work. Same with me. People will give you their email address. So people know what you're interested in, Mark, so they might want to join your email list in order to get more stuff from you that is of interest to them. This will benefit you in the long run. When you come to creating products, you can sell it to them. You can ask their opinion. Even more important, building a personal brand means you're building an audience that you get feedback from. They tell you what they want, and then you give it to them, and then they give you money. It works so well. It's such a good formula for me. So the 3 things would be website, branded website and stick to that website and create content on it. Second thing would be email addresses. Improve your offer. At the moment, I'm offering 6 free courses, 6 free video courses, most of them about half an hour video, plus 2 ebooks, 2 MP3s, and more PDFs. And those are my free offers there. I mean, most people don't even sell that much, products, but I've got them for free so I can get email addresses. So because email addresses are such a big thing, and then you ask them. That's the 3rd thing. Ask the email addresses. So you just send them an email and say, what's bothering you at the moment? What can I create a product for that would help you? What do you need explaining? What's the next step of your business now? How can I help you on that step? And the information you get back is pure gold dust, because all you've got to do is answer those questions and then make a product with the answer to those questions and sell it to the people who asked that question.
That's a great summary for anyone interested in going that route with a personal brand. Very spot on with the whole description about that. So before I end a podcast episode, I always like to ask one question. So what is one awesome inspirational quote you can think of right now?
Okay. Right. Well, I have a lot of inspirational quotes here because I do like collecting them, and they I put them on my website. But here's one from Kristen. I haven't picked it out for any reason, but I just quite liked it today. So this is one from Kristen Butler, and I'm not too sure who she is, to be honest with you, and maybe you know. So here it is. Honestly, I think we all have something we are working through, something that has the potential to make us stronger. Being positive doesn't mean life is perfect. It's making a conscious choice to focus more on the good that exists. So there we go.
Awesome quote. I think that goes back to enjoying the journey, because people they don't really think about all the things that they're doing. They just focus on what they're not hitting yet, all the potential they have yet to realize. So I do feel like there's a part of that calls you to enjoy your journey.
Indeed.
So Right now, I'm going to give you center stage for, agreeing to be interviewed for about 30 minutes. So where can we find you on the web?
Okay, Mark, it's quite simple because my name's Rob Cubbon, and that's ROBCUBBON. And so if you Google that, you'll find my website, which is at robcubbon.com. And find me all around the web, of course. But a couple of things you might be interested in. I mentioned 6 courses. So there's 6 courses. If you go to robcubbon.com/free courses, all one word, but you'll see them on my website anyway. And I've got a course on passive income, got a course on email marketing. I've got 2 courses on WordPress and 2 on other things. So if you sign up to one of those courses, you'll get immediate access to all 6 of them. It may be just one of them interests you. And there's another offer of free PDF ebooks if you like reading ebooks about online business, and that's at robcubbon.com/free. So robcubbon.com/free, robcubbon.com/free courses. Take your pick, or you could just go to Rob Cubbon and drop me a line and say hi, and you heard me on Marc's show.
Quite the amount of free value you're providing.
Indeed, yes.
Rob, it's been a pleasure to have you on my show. Thank you for taking the time to share your insights.
It's my pleasure, Marc. It's been great talking to you, and thanks for having me on the show.
My pleasure.
I thoroughly enjoyed that interview. You can be just like Rob and travel the world without worrying about your income. Your personal brand can make a big splash in the marketplace and generate the income you need to travel the world, but you have to be willing to put in the work. So a key aspect of Rob's life is to enjoy things and to enjoy the present moment. I understand that within the journey towards your breakthrough, it can become difficult to enjoy some of those moments along the journey. But you have to find reasons to enjoy the journey even during those rough patches. We all have them, but we have to find things to enjoy because it will make it easier for us to power through those rough patches. And I can assure you that the joy that you create will ignite and help you get back on the right path and catapult you forward. If you forgot to take notes, then don't worry. We've got you covered with the show notes. Visit markguberti.com/E14 for those. You can ask your questions over there, which I'll be happy to answer.
To never miss an episode, don't forget to subscribe to the podcast on whatever player you are using. If you are a regular listener and haven't done so already, I would greatly appreciate it if you could give this podcast a review or a rating. 2 ways you could do this are through markguberti.com/iTunes or markguberti.com/Stitcher. That ends this episode. Don't forget, dream big, achieve greatness, and unlock your potential today.
If you like my podcast, then you will definitely love my YouTube channel. Not only do I publish my podcast episodes on YouTube, but I also publish multiple YouTube videos every week in which I answer your questions and provide additional advice. To get more information on that channel and to subscribe to that channel, go to youtube.com/MarcGuberti. This podcast is a production done by Marc Guberti. For more insights, head on over to markguberti.com.